You remember the exact moment you signed that first contract. The pen felt heavy in your hand, the ink flowing like liquid hope across crisp white paper. Your parents beamed from across the coffee shop table, their relief palpable as you finally became what they'd always wanted: respectable, secure, employed. The salary number looked like a fortune then. You calculated it in your head: rent covered, student loans manageable, maybe even a vacation fund. The office building gleamed in the morning sun, all glass and steel reaching toward promises you hadn't even dared to dream yet. You walked through those revolving doors, wearing your best suit, the one you bought with your last credit card space, and felt like you were entering a temple of success. The marble lobby echoed with the click of dress shoes and the whispered conversations of people who seemed to know secrets you desperately wanted to learn. Your cubicle was small but yours, a rectangle of beige fabric walls that represented everything you'd worked toward through 4 years of college debt and unpaid internships. You arranged your few possessions with the reverence of someone setting up an altar: a framed photo of your college graduation, a small plant your mother insisted would brighten up the space, and a notebook where you planned to jot down brilliant ideas that would rocket you toward corner office dreams. The first week felt like acting in a movie about successful people. You learned the coffee machine rhythms, memorized your coworkers' names, and nodded thoughtfully in meetings where acronyms flew like secret handshakes. Your manager spoke about synergy and leveraging core competencies, and you wrote it all down as if these words contained the DNA of prosperity. Every email you sent felt important, every spreadsheet like a small masterpiece of productivity. You called your college roommate that Friday night, voice bright with the intoxication of having made it. "It's everything I thought it would be," you told them, and you meant it. The paycheck hit your account that evening, larger than any number you'd ever seen with your name attached. You stared at your phone screen, refreshing your banking app just to watch those digits sit there, solid and real. The weekend felt different now. You weren't just killing time between classes or scrambling for gig work. You were recharging for Monday, preparing for another week of building something that mattered. You bought groceries without calculating every item's cost. You considered upgrading your apartment. The future stretched ahead like a golden highway, and you were finally driving in the right lane. Those first months carried a drug-like high of purpose and belonging. You arrived early, stayed late, volunteered for extra projects. Your manager noticed. Your manager smiled. Your manager mentioned your name in meetings as someone really stepping up. You felt chosen, marked for something greater than the cubicle walls that temporarily contained your ambition. But late at night, in the quiet moments before sleep, you sometimes caught yourself staring at the ceiling, a strange hollowness echoing in your chest. You dismissed it as excitement, as the natural anxiety of someone on the verge of breakthrough. You had no idea it was the sound of the first crack forming in the foundation of who you used to be. The alarm becomes your enemy before you even realize you're at war. 6:30 a.m. every day, the same electronic shriek dragging you from whatever peace sleep offered. You've optimized your morning routine down to the minute. Shower, coffee, toast eaten standing over the sink while checking emails that arrived overnight. The commute is a blur of brake lights and radio voices discussing problems that feel distant from your fluorescent-lit reality. Your cubicle neighbor chews ice every day. The sound drives tiny spikes into your skull, but you've learned to smile and nod when they make small talk about weekend plans that sound exactly like last weekend's plans. The coffee tastes like burnt ambition, but you drink it anyway, cup after cup, because staying alert feels like the only way to stay afloat in the endless stream of tasks that flow across your desk. The projects multiply like bacteria. Each one arrives with its own urgent deadline, its own critical importance to the company's future. You develop a system: color-coded sticky notes, priority matrices, calendar alerts set at 5-minute intervals. Your desk becomes a command center of productivity, but the work keeps coming faster than you can clear it away. You start staying until 6:30, then 7, then whatever time it takes to see the bottom of your task list just once. Your friends' texts go unanswered for hours, then days. Happy hour invitations decline in frequency as you become the person who always has to rain check for work. Your apartment accumulates a film of neglect. Dishes in the sink, laundry in perpetual cycle between dirty and clean piles, takeout containers marking the passage of weeks where cooking felt like an impossible luxury. But the paychecks keep coming, and with them, a creeping sense of identity shift. You are no longer someone who happens to work. You are your job. At parties, you introduce yourself by company name and title before your own interests. Your conversations revolve around projects and deadlines and office politics. You find yourself genuinely invested in quarterly reports and competitive analysis, and whether the team hits its metrics. The promotion dangled in front of you like a golden carrot. Your manager mentions it casually, suggests that this next quarter will be really important for showing leadership potential. You taste the possibility. More money, better title, validation that the grinding is working. You volunteer for weekend shifts, take on projects that nobody else wants, smile through meetings that stretch past dinner time. Your body starts sending signals you ignore. The tension headaches that require increasingly stronger medicine. The way your shoulders permanently hunch forward from hunching over your desk. The insomnia that keeps you staring at your phone at 2 a.m., scrolling through work emails just in case something urgent appeared. You tell yourself it's temporary, that once you get that promotion, once you prove yourself, things will ease up. The small victories feel enormous because they're all you have. A successful presentation, a compliment from upper management, seeing your name on a project that actually launches. These moments provide enough dopamine to carry you through weeks of monotony. You screenshot positive feedback emails and save them in a folder labeled wins that you revisit during the darker moments. Your college dreams feel like someone else's memories now. The novel you were going to write sits as a half-finished document on your laptop, buried under work files. The places you plan to travel exist only in browser bookmarks you never open. The person you thought you'd become has been edited down to fit within business hours, optimized for maximum productivity, streamlined into efficiency. But you're making progress, you tell yourself. You're building something. The ladder has rungs, and you're climbing them one overtime hour at a time. Your social life dies so quietly you don't notice until it's already decomposing. The birthday parties you miss become birthday parties you're no longer invited to. Your college friends' group chat moves on without you. Inside jokes forming around experiences you're too exhausted to participate in. Saturday night becomes Sunday prep time, and Sunday becomes Monday anxiety time. And somewhere in between, you forget what genuine laughter sounds like coming from your own throat. Your relationship buckles under the weight of your absence. Your partner's complaints start as gentle concerns. You seem stressed. Maybe we could plan a vacation. When was the last time we just talked? But gentleness curdles into resentment as you cancel dinner plans for the third time this month, as you check your phone during movies, as you bring your laptop to bed and type responses to emails while they try to share their day with you. The breakup happens on a Tuesday. They sit across from your kitchen table, the one where you used to eat breakfast together, back when you woke up early enough for breakfast, and their words sound like they're coming through water. I feel like I'm dating your job, they say. And you want to argue, but your phone buzzes with a Slack notification, and your eyes flick toward it involuntarily. That glance is the period at the end of their sentence. Your body becomes a machine you maintain rather than inhabit. The gym membership you pay for but never use. The vegetables that rot in your refrigerator crisper drawer while you survive on vending machine lunches and energy drinks. Your sleep schedule fragments into patches of exhaustion, broken by anxiety spirals about tomorrow's deliverables. You develop a permanent ache behind your left shoulder blade from the way you hunch over spreadsheets. The mirror shows you someone you recognize but don't know. Your face has developed new lines, not from laughter but from squinting at screens and furrowing your brow through difficult conversations with difficult clients. Your clothes fit differently because you eat when you remember to eat, and you remember to eat when your stomach cramps become impossible to ignore. Your family calls less frequently. The conversations that do happen feel scripted. How's work? they ask, and you give the same non-answer about being busy but good, keeping positive, staying focused on goals. They stop asking about your personal life because you've trained them that work is the only topic you have bandwidth for. Your childhood bedroom becomes a museum of who you used to be, visited only on holidays when you can manage to take time off. The hobbies you once loved become foreign objects in your apartment. Your guitar accumulates dust in the corner, its strings loosening into discord. The books on your nightstand remain bookmarked at the same pages for months. The art supplies you bought with such optimism sit unopened in their bags, still carrying the receipt from when you believed you'd have time for creativity. Money accumulates in your checking account like sediment, but you have no energy to spend it on anything that brings joy. Your purchases become utilities. Better coffee for staying awake, ergonomic chair cushions for surviving long days, subscription services that promise to handle the parts of life you no longer have time to manage yourself. You're earning more than you ever dreamed, and somehow affording less of the life you actually want. The promotion finally comes, and the celebration feels hollow. A title change, a salary bump, an office with a door instead of cubicle walls. Your manager congratulates you with words about earning it, about proving your dedication, about being exactly the kind of employee the company values. You smile and say thank you, but inside you feel like someone accepting an award for a performance you didn't know you were giving. The new responsibilities pile onto the old ones. The door on your office becomes a barrier between you and any remaining connection to normalcy. You eat lunch alone, work through weekends, and begin to forget what your own thoughts sound like when they're not focused on deliverables and quarterly projections. The panic attack hits you on a Wednesday morning in the middle of a status meeting. Your chest constricts like someone's tightening a belt around your ribcage, and suddenly the conference room feels airless, the fluorescent lights too bright, your coworkers' voices distorted into underwater sounds. You excuse yourself to the bathroom and grip the sink, staring at your reflection while your heart hammers against your sternum like it's trying to escape. You sit in the stall for 20 minutes, breathing into your hands, wondering if this is what dying feels like. When you finally return to your desk, your manager asks if you're feeling okay, and you lie with the same smooth efficiency you've developed for everything else in your professional life. Just tired, you say, already planning to Google heart attack symptoms as soon as you have a free moment. But free moments have become extinct. The work has evolved into a living thing that feeds on your attention, growing larger and more demanding with every hour you feed it. Your to-do list has become a hydra. Complete one task and 3 more appear in its place. You dream in Excel formulas and wake up with PowerPoint transitions playing behind your eyelids. The physical symptoms multiply into a symphony of dysfunction. Your left eye develops a twitch that pulses through important meetings. Your digestion becomes a disaster zone of stress and processed food and caffeine dependencies. Your back aches from chairs that were never designed for 12-hour days. You schedule a doctor's appointment 3 times and cancel it 3 times because something urgent always comes up. One Friday evening, you find yourself alone in the office building, the cleaning crew working around you while you finish a report that's due Monday, but could have been done weeks ago if you'd had time to focus. The janitor empties your trash can and gives you a look that's equal parts pity and confusion. You realize you can't remember the last time you left the building while the sun was still up. The realization hits you like cold water. You've become exactly the kind of person you used to feel sorry for. The ones who eat lunch at their desks, who check emails during their kids' school plays, who measure their worth in billable hours and performance metrics. You've optimized yourself into a high-functioning ghost, haunting your own life while serving someone else's vision of success. The breaking point isn't dramatic. It's Tuesday morning, and you're sitting in your car in the parking garage, staring at the elevator doors, and you simply cannot make yourself get out. Your body refuses. Your spirit rebels. For the first time in years, you sit in silence with no agenda, no optimization, no productivity goals, and the sound of your own breathing feels foreign and wonderful and terrifying all at once. You sit in your car for an hour before you find the strength to call in sick. The lie comes easily. Stomach bug, need to rest, sorry for the short notice. Your manager's irritation crackles through the phone, but for the first time in years, their disappointment doesn't feel like a knife in your chest. You drive home in the middle of morning rush hour traffic, moving against the flow of everyone heading toward their own versions of your prison. Your apartment looks different in daylight. Foreign, like a hotel room you've been staying in, but never really seeing. The dust on your bookshelves tells the story of months of neglect. Your plant, the one your mother bought for your first day, sits brown and brittle in its pot. A perfect metaphor for everything else you've let die while feeding your career. The silence is deafening at first. Without the constant buzz of notifications and the background hum of productivity, you can hear things you've forgotten existed. Birds outside your window, the refrigerator's gentle hum, the sound of your own thoughts when they're not scheduled and optimized and directed toward deliverables. You make coffee and drink it sitting down, without checking email, without planning your next task. The simple act feels rebellious. You call your best friend from college, the one whose texts you've been ignoring for months. They answer on the first ring, their voice bright with surprise and concern. "Are you okay?" they ask, and you realize you don't know how to answer that question anymore. The conversation unlocks something in your chest that's been locked away for years. You find yourself crying while describing your Tuesday morning in the parking garage, the way the elevator doors looked like the entrance to a tomb. Your friend listens without offering solutions or productivity hacks or suggestions for better time management. They just witness your collapse, and somehow that feels like the first honest interaction you've had in years. You spend the day rediscovering what it feels like to exist without purpose, without agenda, without measurable outcomes. You take a shower that lasts longer than 5 minutes. You eat a meal sitting down, without scrolling through your phone. You lie on your floor and stare at the ceiling, and for the first time since you signed that first contract, you allow yourself to feel the full weight of what you've sacrificed. The list is devastating when you finally acknowledge it. Friendships, creativity, health, curiosity, spontaneity, joy. You traded all of it for a title that means nothing to you, a salary that you never have time to enjoy, and the approval of people who see you as a resource rather than a human being. You've become excellent at things that don't matter and forgotten how to do things that do. The company calls repeatedly. Urgent emails pile up like snow. The crisis that seemed so important yesterday continues without you. And you realize, with crystal clarity, that it would have continued without you anyway. You are replaceable, dispensable, interchangeable with any other bright-eyed graduate willing to sacrifice themselves for the illusion of security and success. Looking back, you can trace the path of your own erosion. Each yes to extra work, each canceled plan, each boundary crossed in the name of professional advancement. You see how systematically you dismantled yourself, piece by piece, until only the productive parts remained. You became a ghost haunting your own life, efficient and empty. The person you used to be feels like someone you knew in childhood, real but distant, full of dreams and energy and ideas that didn't fit into quarterly projections. You mourn them like a death, because in many ways it was. You killed that person to create this professional persona, and now you're left with the wreckage of both. But in this moment of complete collapse, something else emerges. A tiny spark of the person you buried under years of performance reviews and productivity metrics. They're still there, waiting underneath the ashes of your burnout, wondering if it's safe to come out yet. The sun sets outside your window, painting your apartment in golden light, and you realize you haven't watched a sunset in years. Tomorrow, the office will still be there. The emails will still be waiting. The career that consumed you will still be demanding your sacrifice. But tonight, you're remembering what it feels like to be human instead of a human resource. The choice sits in front of you like an unopened door. Keep feeding the machine that's been eating you alive, or find the courage to step away and rebuild something that looks more like a life than a productivity report. You've spent years optimizing yourself for everyone else's definition of success. Maybe It's time to remember what success looks like when you're the one defining it. If this raw truth hit you like a freight train, you're not alone. Subscribe to Grindflix for more unfiltered stories that cut through the BS and show you what really happens when we chase dreams that aren't our own. Drop a comment below and tell us your own 9-to-5 breaking point story. Sometimes the most healing thing is knowing someone else has been exactly where you are. Subscribe, comment, and let's build a community of people brave enough to admit that sometimes the life everyone else wants for you is slowly killing the person you actually are.